Right, I'm just going to have a closer look at these Hades pellets from JSB, and these are the 0.25 caliber ones. You can get them in 0.22, and I also understand that they've just launched them in 0.177 as well. Now, I shot these the other day. Anyone that's subscribed to my channel or seen my videos will have seen me shoot them through my little Edgar Leishi, or Leishi, or whatever you like to call it. And on first sight, I must admit, I was a little bit disappointed with these, because when I first opened the tin, they looked a very dull grey compared to the normal JSB King Diablos that I've been using. But I think it's just a duller lead colour. And I also question the skirts a little bit. The skirts are a little bit thinner than on the Kings, and they didn't look as nicely finished. But having said that, I've weighed a few on my scales, and the weights are very, very consistent. In fact, they're so consistent that the digital scales that I've got can't register any difference between them. And when they were shot through the Leishi, even though they weigh about almost a grain heavier than the normal Kings, the point of aim actually shifted very little, and the accuracy through the Leishi, at least at sort of 30 yards, was extremely good, just as good as the Kings, which I'm well pleased with. So what I'm going to try now, I'm going to put these through my 2.5 cal Priest, because that's a much more, it's easier to get accurate results with the Priest than it is with the Leishi, because the Leishi's a lot shorter and therefore a little bit more unstable and harder to get a really good group with. Though having said that, those 30-yard groups with these the other day that I did, especially the ones that I shot off a bipod, were really good. So I'm really impressed with these things, and I've shot a couple of rabbits with them so far, and I have to say, for stopping power, they far exceed these. I thought these were good. 2.5 cal Kings were good, but these are incredible. It's as if they transfer every little bit of energy that they've got straight into the target. They're really, really good, really impressive. I shot a really old, tough old buck rabbit. You could tell it was an old one. Its teeth were worn down. It was a proper big beast, battered around the ears, where it had loads of fights with other rabbits. You know, a proper tough old bugger. And these just dropped him stone dead, and it was a front chest shot as well. So these are superb for stopping ability, unbelievable. And I really like them actually. They are a different shape. I'll just zoom in. They are a different shape. They're like a taller pellet, and they've got a flatter head, and I think that's why they hit harder, because they've got a flatter head. The head mushrooms down, especially seeing as how there's not so much lead in it, because it's got this sort of it almost looks like a danger radiation sign cut into the head of them. And because of that, I think, and the fact that they've got a flatter head, they really mushroom and open up on impact. And they do seem to possess phenomenal stopping power. I mean, the rabbits I've shot, obviously if you hit a rabbit in the head, it's going to stop anyway. But more so on birds as well. I shot a carrion crow with one the other day. Now they're tough old things, carrion crows. Body shot, didn't even twitch, nothing, just straight over. That was the end of it. These things have got astonishing stopping power, and they also seem to be, at least through Leishi, which is the only one I've tried it through so far, very, very, very accurate. At least as good as the Kings. So what I'm going to do now is, I've got my Priest all set up. I've got the Accutac bipod on it, and I've got my IOR scope on it. And what I'm going to do, I can only do it at 22 yards today, unfortunately I can't get out to do it any further. So I'm going to do it at 22 yards and see how tight a grouping I can get with this and whether it compares with what I've been getting with the kings. So just bear with me. Right, that was 3 shots, so let's have a look. Right then, so 3 shots, 22 yards. And there's a 2.5 caliber pellet to give you some idea. I think it's fairly safe to say that the Hades are just as accurate as the JSB Kings, and well, I'm well happy with that. That is pretty damned impressive. I mean, okay, it's 22 yards, it's not miles away, it's a relatively close range, but to get a group like that, 3 shots all through the same hole, because that's the sort of hole that a 2.5 pellet's going to produce, is very impressive. I think it's fairly safe to say that this this particular rifle, this Priest, in this configuration with the IOR scope on it at the minute and the Accutac bipod, is using those JSB pellets, the Hades or the Kings, astonishingly good. It is very, very accurate. You know, 1 hole groups, all right, 22 yards is not far, but if it's giving 1 hole groups at 22 yards, then at 30 yards, the groups are going to be probably 1 hole groups, and at 40 yards, again, tiny, easily covered by a 5p piece. It's astonishingly good. And when you think it's chucking out that 2.5 lump of lead, them Hades pellets, very, very, very impressive. Very happy with this setup. Really, really good. Superb pellets. They really are very, very good pellets. Loving these things. They're a bit they look a bit unusual, but my God, they hit hard, and they're so accurate. I mean, in the past, I'm old enough to remember all the sort of faddy pellets that came out in the mid-80s, and there were all sorts, Prometheus pellets, the Sabos, the silver star things, I think they were, from Japan. There was a pellet, if I remember rightly, called a Viper, that looked like an Ace of Hearts, Ace of Spades type head stuck on a Diablo skirt. There were all sorts of weird and wonderful designs, things with, you know, multiple rings and all sorts of things, super sharp pointed things, hollow point things, all sorts. And to be honest, 99.999% of them were rubbish. They were all inferior to a standard Diablo pellet, all of them. The Prometheus pellets would penetrate sheet steel, thin sheet steel. They certainly would. Their penetration was massively better than the lead pellet. But what's the point in that? Because they'd literally pass straight through your target. And the other thing is, you couldn't hit bugger all with them because they weren't very accurate. So they would have been all right if you were shooting rabbits that were wearing suits of armour at relatively close range, or rabbits that were driving around in AFVs, armoured fighting vehicles, at relatively close range. But the fact of the matter is that anything over sort of 15, 20 yards, you couldn't hit it anyway. And even if you did, they just over-penetrated and went straight through. They were pretty useless. Same with the Sabos. Same with most of the pointed pellets. They were very inaccurate over anything over 20 yards. You couldn't hit nothing. And the hollow-headed types were even worse. Most of them were terribly inaccurate over anything over sort of 25, 20 yards. They were just rubbish. But JSB seem to have found the holy grail here. They've got a pellet with the accuracy out to range of a Diablo, but with the stopping power of a hollow point. It's quite spectacular, really. Very, very good. Very bit of clever design. You know, I mean, it's only a pellet, but it isn't. It's a really good pellet. It's very accurate, and it hits as hard as hell. Now, from what I've seen of them, the designs differ slightly between the different pellets. The 2.5 obviously look like this because these are 2.5s. But from what I've seen, the 177s look more like a 177 heavy, Diablo heavy, in the fact that they've got that sort of cylindrical skirt rather than a nipped head Diablo. And they've got this head, the same head shape, these holes, these sort of radiation sign type indentations in the head. And the 2.2 looks more like a normal 2.2 pellet. It's not got as long a skirt as this, and it's not got as flat a head. But again, they've all got this sort of radiation sign indentation in the top that makes them open up. So I haven't tried the 2.2 and I haven't tried the 177 because they're not out yet. But I can't wait, to be honest, to try them, because if they're anywhere near as good as these 2.5s, then they're going to be onto a winner across all the calibers. I am sorely tempted to swing my 2.5 caliber guns now onto these as a diet. I'm impressed with them that much. Threw the little leashy the other day, phenomenal, really chuffed with that gun, and really chuffed with the way it shot these. And that there, all right, 22 yards isn't very far, but one whole group, 3 shots, all through the same hole. You know, that forebodes well for things to come. So I'm going to, when I get a chance, probably this weekend, take this rifle and put some of these at range and see if I can duplicate those excellent results. Hopefully I can, because that short range shooting certainly looked very, very promising. So there you go, the Hades and my rather beautiful Priest. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If anyone's got any comments or questions, feel free to ask or post them. I always respond, unless they're totally derogatory, in which case I definitely don't respond. But thankfully, so far since opening this channel and starting reviewing these rifles, I have to say that 99.9% of the comments have been interesting and helpful, rather than people just slating me or what I'm trying to do. And remember, it's not a professional channel. Don't get paid, don't have any adverts, don't make any money out of it. You know, what I've got is what I've bought, and it's what I use, which is why you can tell, because the guns are with me for ages. You know, I review them as I modify them or make slight changes to them, or stick a different scope on, try a different pellet with them. You know, I'm not just having a gun for 2 days and then sending it back to the gun shop or the manufacturer or the distributor. These guns are mine, they get well used. They're out where they belong, out in the field, being used. So thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.